If you're starting off with Cine lenses, you're probably wondering what is the difference between a $400 Cine lens and a $1,200 Cine lens. This is a 30mm T1.5 Cine lens from IRIX. Welcome back to the channel. Now I'm going to be breaking this video up into 4 different parts. The physical side, image quality, the full set, and finally the verdict. Is it worth triple the price? The physical side. Now on the one side, you have the 33mm Voltrox T1.5 and then you have the IRIX 30mm T1.5. Now the reason I've paired these two lenses together is, one, because everyone knows the Voltrox Cine lenses. They kind of started low budget Cine lenses, and a lot of people got into Cine lenses because of Voltrox. And also this is 33mm, the IRIX is 30mm, and they both T1.5. Now if you're wondering what T1.5 is, let's just basically call that the aperture. I've made a couple of videos explaining what T-stop versus f-stop is, but T1.5 is essentially the measurement of light that travels right through the lens. Basically a T1.5 lens could be around f1.4, f1.3. It really just depends on the exact measurement. But that's kind of the gist of it. Now the IRIX 30mm weighs in at a whopping 1,233 grams, and that is with the lens cap off. The Voltrox, on the other hand, weighs in at a mere 515 grams. And yes, both are made of metal, but the IRIX feels absolutely amazing. Just by holding this lens, you can truly feel why it is so expensive. It even has fabric on the inside of the lens cap, so when you put it on, pretty cool. Now both have aperture gears, T-stop gears, and focus gears. Both go from T1.5 to T16. And the Voltrox focus gear has a throw of 153 degrees, whereas the IRIX is 180 degrees. So the throw is a little bit bigger. Now yes, some lenses have a much bigger 300, 250 degree focus throw. But once you're used to the focus throw that's on the lens, you kind of do get used to it. And if you pair this with something like the PD Movie, that I do have and I've used extensively, and you calibrate it, the PD Movie turns any lens into a 300 degree focus throw by using the little button wheel. So even though this is 180 degrees, if you pair it with something like a follow focus like the PD Movie, it basically becomes 300 degrees, refining out the current 180 degrees. But when you feel the IRIX gears, you can feel the smoothness and the quality on this. The feedback is amazing. The Voltrox kind of slips a bit. It's a little bit too easy here and there. Sometimes you tend to move it a bit too quick. And this is across most budget kind of Cine lenses. Even with the Sure Nightwalkers, you'll find that the focus gear and the T-stop gear turns a little too easy. Whereas when you feel something like this is pretty cool. Image quality. Now the IRIX is a fraction wider focal range at 30mm as opposed to 33mm. Now this is on MFT, so this is essentially going to give you a 60mm full frame equivalent, and that's going to give you a 66 on the Voltrox. So here's a side-by-side showing that. I've kept the camera on the tripod, put the IRIX 30mm on, and you can see how wide it is. And then I put the Voltrox 33mm on, and you can see how a little bit more punched in it is. So that's kind of the difference between 30 and 33mm. But to give this a fair run on image quality, I have moved the Voltrox a fraction back just to match the physical height of Michelle, more or less how she is framed in the shot, to give you a more close comparison so you can see the bokeh and image quality. Now what I want you to pay attention first is the bokeh. I'll get to sharpness and do some punch-ins just now, but check this out. So this is the IRIX at T1.5. This is the Voltrox at T1.5. This is the IRIX at T2, and this is the Voltrox at T2. Again, we have the IRIX at T2.8, and finally the Voltrox at T2.8. Now for the pixel peepers out there like me, and it's good to pixel peep, if anyone tells you don't pixel peep, they kind of don't know what they're talking about. Because this is how lens manufacturers even look at lenses. They pixel peep. Now when you look at the sharpness at T1.5, it's quite interesting, because if you look at the IRIX at T1.5, and then the Viltrox at T1.5, and you punch in and you put them side by side, you'll see that they're both equally sharp. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, why is that? Why is a $1,200 lens that's 3 times the price have the same sharpness? Now, firstly, Cine lenses aren't actually supposed to be too sharp. They're supposed to have characteristics and a little bit of a softer feel to give you that cinema kind of feel to it. But that is pretty much where the similarities end. Now, when you look at chromatic aberration, the IRIX pulls the lead over here. Here's the IRIX at T2. And this is probably worst case scenario. Even at T1.5, the IRIX color fringing from the chromatic aberration is truly fantastic. When comparing it to the Viltrox, you'll notice that the Viltrox has a lot of green and purple fringing, and quite a lot of purple fringing, whereas the IRIX kind of just has a hint of green fringing, but it's not a very vibrant green. And this is one of the things when it comes to fringing is how a manufacturer gets those colors to be a little bit subdued. And that could be because of IRIX's neutrino coating, as they call it. So for those of you that want to see a little bit more, here's a longer shot of the IRIX pointing at some trees, and you've got the sun in the background, so take a note on the starburst effect as well. I'm going to take you from T1.5, T2.8, T5.6, T11, and T16. Just check this out. Now, when you're looking at focus breathing, one thing that Viltrox and a lot of more affordable Cine lens manufacturers have kind of come to doing is their focus breathing is pretty good. Now, when you look at the IRIX next to the Viltrox, they are somewhat similar. You'll notice that the IRIX definitely does a better job. It's a lot more comfortable to watch. Now, for those of you that are getting confused with out of focus elements, one thing about focus breathing is not how big the bokeh gets in the background and shifts that kind of look. Focus breathing is how much a lens actually zooms in and out. And it's pretty tough to show you what I'm talking about because the Viltrox also does this very, very well. And it kind of has almost none. Now, I didn't do a brick test for you, and I've spoken about this in other videos that I don't always find the brick test to be such a great thing. I know some people are really in on it and they love it. But the thing is, when you're filming with Cine lenses and you've kind of got softer edges and those characteristics end up in a lens, if you're looking for full picture sharpness, you're probably going to stop down to T2.8, T4 anyway, and then you're definitely going to get full image sharpness. But when you look at something like the IRIX in your everyday shots, and these shots that you've seen have been taken all wide open with the IRIX just to kind of push the limits to show you what it looks like at T1.5. Anything under T1.5, when you go down to T2, T2.8, the lens just gets sharper, better, and obviously crisper. The full set. Now, when it comes to the full set of buying lenses, this is where IRIX truly pulls the lead on pretty much every manufacturer that I know of. Viltrox and other affordable Cine lens manufacturers give you a 23, 24mm, a 30-something mil, and a 50-something mil. And that's where IRIX decides to give you everything. Listen to this. IRIX has an 11mm, 15mm, 21mm, 30mm, 45mm, a new 65, a 150 macro, and a 150 telephoto. And most of them are at T1.5, except for your 11 and 15mm, if I'm not mistaken. But when Viltrox gives you a Sony E and MFT mount, IRIX says, hold my lens. Here's a Canon EF, Canon RF, Sony E, MFT, Nikon Z, L mount, REPL, and Fuji X. Yes, so basically IRIX is telling you that you can take this 30mm T1.5 and put it on an MFT camera, but they make a version exactly the same with a different mount that allows you to put this on a Canon RF. Now you can imagine filming full frame 30mm T1.5, the shallow depth of field. I mean, if you're going to be stopping down to T2, your depth of field is going to be absolutely massive on full frame. And as you turn away from that T1.5 to T2.8, the picture quality just gets better. I hope that kind of makes sense to a lot of you MFT and full frame users, depending on where you're sitting on the spectrum. So yeah, they pretty much go overboard. The verdict. Now yes, they both are Cine lenses. They both share gears in the exact same place in the relevant brand. So chopping and changing from rig to rig is pretty easy. However, the IRIX on a rig looks amazing, and weight on a camera rig is better. Also, IRIX offers a full kind of system when it comes to their matte box and filters as well. And I have done a review on the Viltrox lenses, and there is some color difference between certain lenses, between, you know, their entire range of 3 lenses. And does IRIX suffer with that same problem? Do they have a 30mm and 45mm giving you different colors? I'm guessing not, because they're charging so much. Unfortunately, at this point, I can't tell you because I only have one of these. So massive shout out to ePhotographic or Photo24 in South Africa and IRIX for borrowing me this so that I can show you guys. Hopefully, I can do a ton more of these and kind of give you the entire range and show you if there's a color difference and create some epic content with this. Obviously, all the B-roll that you've seen up until now has been shot on the IRIX 30mm, and the time that I've had with this absolute beast of a lens, I have loved. It's an amazing lens, it looks amazing on a rig, and the picture quality and the feel of it is fantastic. So my verdict on this is it worth triple the price? You can buy the entire Viltrox set for one of these. Simple answer, yes, it is worth the price. The difference in chromatic aberration, the addition of the lenses for you to grow in as you grow as a cinematographer or videographer is really a way to go. At the same time, if you are doing much more low budget kind of stuff and you're really just getting into cine lenses, it's not a bad thing to buy the Viltrox lenses. It just depends where you are in your career. But if you are charging high prices and you're filming in 4K and you're really pushing the boundaries of your filming and you want to take it to the next level, investing in glass like this is the way to go. You could take an old camera from 2014, 2015 and throw the set of IRIX lenses at it, and you will have a beast of a setup that you could pretty much film anything on. So that's my answer. If you have the budget and your clients are paying you enough and you really want to push your creativity to the next level, the IRIX lenses are definitely worth it. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. Oh yes, I'll leave a link in the description below for you guys to go and check out the full IRIX range and pick these up if you want to. Wherever you are in the world, have a good day, good evening, good night, goodbye.